Here's your wrestling news for February 3rd, 2023. And we're starting off with Vince McMahon as the saga of lawsuits filed against him continues, this time with another shareholder filing a complaint on January 26th. The investor, Dennis Palkin, is seeking more information regarding the horrifying allegations that have been made about McMahon and to remove and bar him from serving on the WWE's board of directors. According to court documents obtained by Bloomberg Law from Delaware Chancery Court, internal files from WWE have been requested in the litigation for the purposes of investing claims that McMahon raped and sexually assaulted employees and contractors over the course of decades, calculating that nearly $15 million was spent in hush payments covering up his tracks. The report also claims there are serious questions about how Vince McMahon obtained and delivered those funds to his victims. Aside from the already overwhelming allegations against Vince McMahon, this new lawsuit calls him out for being a thug and assuming that the rules don't apply to him or his behavior. Additionally, the investors also believe that McMahon essentially staged a coup in returning to the WWE board and that the circumstances of his comeback displayed a flagrant disregard for basic corporate governance norms. The lawsuit further reads, believing that the rules do not apply to him, Vince McMahon removed 3 independent directors and reappointed himself, as well as 2 of his longtime cronies, the suit says. The apparent misconduct here is both myriad and extremely serious. But the suit echoes the most serious claims against McMahon, saying he appears to have leveraged his position to prey on his subordinates to appease his sexual desires. He then exploited his control over the company to override the board's judgment that he was unfit to lead, according to the complaint. The lawsuit is unique in the fact that it'll be the first time documents from WWE are requested under a Delaware state law giving corporate investors broad inspection rights. But this is just the latest in a long list of accusations that have been made toward McMahon since the summer of 2022. Last July, he announced his retirement from WWE, but that was short-lived, as by early January he had reinstated himself back into the board with the intent to pursue a sale of the company. Do you think Vince McMahon will get more such lawsuits? Sound off in the comments below. To say 2022 was a turbulent time for WWE would be a gross understatement, and unquestionably the biggest story of last year was the resignation of Vince McMahon. Stepping down as chairman and CEO amid mounting scandals, McMahon's July retirement resulted in Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan being appointed co-CEOs, while Triple H at long last took the throne of Chief Content Officer. Throughout all the case in 2022, the company still managed to add to its incredible fortune, and WWE has now released the full-year results for all fiscal quarters of 2022. The biggest takeaway is that 2022 saw an 18% increase in overall revenue, bringing in $1.3 billion, the highest in the history of the company. This record-breaking number was managed despite an 11% increase to operating income, which came to $283.3 million. Speaking on a financial call, WWE's sole CEO, Nick Khan, answered some tough questions and said that McMahon could still be stepping down and exiting the company again. Khan argued that McMahon, as majority shareholder, will do what is best for business, adding, "Yes, without question. He's declared it to the board. He's declared it to us in management. It's all about shareholder value. Obviously, he is a shareholder, so it's not about what role he'll have, it's about maximizing that value opportunity." While McMahon did retire in July 2022 for the good of the company, there's no guarantee that he will do the same again, especially with how quickly he began to regret the decision. McMahon has returned to WWE to oversee a sale of the promotion, which would certainly benefit shareholders, each of whom would receive a significant payout if the company went private. Speaking of the sale, Khan was of course asked about that, and was quizzed on what an ideal partner to either work with WWE or purchase the company would look like. Khan said that any future buyer would need to have a firm understanding of the industry WWE is in, and needs to understand how to utilize media to bring the multifaceted WWE to its fullest potential. Of course, whoever buys WWE will need to have some very deep pockets, with the company's higher-ups hoping to sell for around $8.5 billion. McMahon hopes to have the sale go through soon, ideally as soon as the middle of 2023, but of course that all hinges on whether a buyer is ready to move as quickly as WWE is hoping. Vince McMahon may indeed be back, but this is a different man to the one fans have known, and he's also working different hours. Gone are the days of McMahon staying at the office until the early hours of the morning and then taking his work home with him, but it's been reported that Vince is arriving and leaving at more normal times. On the fourth quarter earnings call, Triple H spoke about his father-in-law's return, which he sees as a benefit. For me, and it will allow me to speak for our entire creative team, but we are standing on the shoulders of giants. So having him back and evolved, if even at a board level, comes with his incredible insight. He's a tremendous asset to this company. These are still early days in WWE's attempts to find a buyer, but do you think a sale will happen in time? Is McMahon going to stay away from TV as it's been claimed? Who will end up buying WWE? Let us know what you think in the comments. From the moment Vince McMahon returned, fans and superstars alike worried about the 77-year-old billionaire meddling with the product and resuming his role as head of creative. Not only has that not happened, but it's said that McMahon hasn't attended a single taping since his return nearly a month ago, and judging by the Royal Rumble event, WWE's creative is the best we've seen in years. Speaking during the NXT Vengeance Day media call, head of the Gold brand Shawn Michaels was asked about McMahon and refuted the idea that the billionaire will soon be running NXT. I don't think so. I'd imagine Vince has got bigger fish to fry than us here down in NXT. I'll say this, one of the things that I enjoy about my job down here is the plausible deniability that I'm allowed to have. So I don't ask a lot of questions since I don't know the answers to some of them. I'll say, even back when we were here, he was very good with us down here. They helped us in a certain way and guided us in how they wanted to go, and after that, it was hands off. And Hunter is the same thing. They're very good with us down here in NXT. They understand it's a different environment down here. We're very fortunate to kind of be independent no matter who's running the ship up there in Stamford. They allow us a great deal of freedom down here, which we appreciate. When NXT became NXT 2.0, the brand was taken away from Triple H, and McMahon took more control over the show, much to the chagrin of fans. While many of the same stars of NXT 2.0 have remained in WWE NXT, the brand and Shawn Michaels are doing much better now, and don't expect McMahon to show up at the Performance Center. All reports about the sale have made it clear that WWE wants this matter done soon, but why exactly is WWE in such a hurry? During WWE's financial call, Chief Financial Officer Frank Riddick may have given us the answer, saying that WWE's TV contract between NXT and the USA Network expires in September. It was not noted that USA Network and WWE are in talks to carry on the contract to air NXT on the channel, or which potential buyers are on the table, though negotiations are likely ongoing. The last thing WWE needs is for a long-term deal with the USA Network to be reached before a sale, as if WWE ends up being sold to Netflix, for example, having their content with another distributor will only prove to be a difficult mess. For what it's worth, Nick Khan added that the USA Network is thrilled with NXT and the show's growing ratings, but are numbers good enough for their parent company Comcast to buy the entire WWE? Platforms like Hulu and Peacock could be legit competitors to the USA Network deal, and there's some irony that the Gold brand, that is shaping the future stars of WWE, could prove to be a huge part in shaping the future of WWE itself. Trying to find a buyer at the same time as trying to negotiate new TV deals could be a headache for WWE, but that isn't the case, at least according to Nick Khan. During the investors' call, WWE's CEO said that if WWE is acquired by a new owner, then any transaction would respect the rights of NBC Universal, who are directly above the USA Network, and Fox, the home of Smackdown. Again, the idea that somewhere like Netflix or Amazon wouldn't be able to show Raw, Smackdown, and NXT could possibly deter a deal being made, but Khan also hinted that the first renewal rights window could begin just after WrestleMania 39. When asked about negotiating a sale of WWE and a new media rights deal at the same time, Khan noted it will give more bidders a chance to make an offer, also revealed that the right of a first bid will kick in short order for incumbents for both Raw and SmackDown. Comcast and Fox will have the first chance to put a bid in, and given that both companies have experience dealing with WWE, we have to consider the two the favorites to be the eventual buyers. Whatever comes next in WWE's future, these are unprecedented times. And who do you think should end up buying WWE and taking the reins away from Vince McMahon? As we mentioned earlier, Vince McMahon has not attended any TV taping since his return to WWE, and not even the allure of his first premium live event back could coax the executive chairman. The roster still hasn't forgotten about the 2022 Rumble, where McMahon made a ton of last-minute changes and even fired his own son Shane for interrupting his process and clashing with talent. Fightful Select reports that this year's Rumble was far easier, and that all comes down to the lack of McMahon. One anonymous WWE talent said that the process of the Rumble itself was the easiest in a long time without Vince McMahon at the helm, and that there were way less last-minute changes. That same talent also called this year's event a dream compared to 2022, but added it'd be wise to overlook 2021, as the COVID pandemic added too many challenges to make for a fair comparison. Another source added that the atmosphere backstage is much more laid back with Triple H leading creative, and that the only reminder of Vince's influence that remains is the Vince's Office directional sign that hasn't changed since Vince's retirement, but now points to a different section in the backstage area. While talents aren't fearful of mentioning McMahon, his name hasn't come up since Triple H, Nick Khan, and Kevin Dunn assured superstars Vince won't return to creative. And as long as things stay this way, WWE's future looks incredibly bright. It's been less than 2 months since Mandy Rose was released from WWE, which came due to the nature of the content shared on her website. The photos and videos shared by Rose certainly do not match WWE's PG product rating, but contrary to popular belief, the decision to fire her wasn't one made by Shawn Michaels. Speaking on the conference call to promote Vengeance Day, the head of NXT was asked about Rose and said that it was not his call to fire her. Michaels went one step further, saying that despite his high position, he can't fire anybody, and praised Rose as a fantastic performer. The WWE Hall of Famer did confirm that he is the head of creative in NXT, and it was his call for Rose to lose the title suddenly to Roxanne Perez, and would have loved the opportunity for their feud to go longer. It was said that WWE did have plans for Perez to end Rose's incredible reign as NXT Women's Champion, but this was supposed to be weeks later. But whoever did decide to fire Rose forced Michaels to move the title change up the schedule. Despite earning over $1 million from her site in December alone, Rose has said she's open to a WWE return, and we're sure that HBK would love to work with her again under the right circumstances. Now, Hulk Hogan will forever be one of the biggest stars in wrestling, though he is also one of the most controversial. Not just did Hogan's racist tirade come out in 2015, but the Hulkster has spent years being accused of backstage politicking, and now there's another accusation against him. In 1983, Hogan married his wife Linda, and the pair remained married until divorcing in 2009, and the former Mrs. Hogan has accused her ex of a gay affair. Speaking during an interview, Hogan disclosed the accusation against him, saying that his wife thought Hulk and Brutus Beefcake were lovers after the latter's 1990 parasailing accident. He said, "I think the worst rumor I ever heard about myself was my wife accused me of having an affair with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. It's a crazy story. It was right after Brutus's parasailing accident, and Brutus had to sleep in a chair straight up with his head packed in ice. And Brutus had this really good-looking girlfriend. And I guess while everybody was sleeping, Brutus called her over, and all of a sudden my ex-wife's grandmother came downstairs and she saw this blonde head going up and down on Brutus's lap. This blonde head was giving Brutus oral sex. The next morning when I came down for breakfast, Linda's whole family was mad at me and I couldn't figure it out. The grandmother Nene goes, 'I saw you giving Brutus oral sex.' They thought it was my blonde head, but it was really Brutus the Barber Beefcake's girlfriend. So that without a doubt is the worst rumor I've ever heard about myself. My ex-wife accused me for years and years and years of being gay with Brutus. Then after that, she accused me and Bubba of being gay." Of course, there's nothing wrong with being gay, but Hogan explained that he doesn't swing that way. And while Brutus may have ridden Hulk's coattails for years, even getting to headline Starrcade 1994 by being Hogan's pal, the two are just pals and nothing more. With reports of a potential sale, the promotion certainly wants to be as profitable as possible, and therefore appealing to potential buyers. Thanks to their lucrative TV deals, as well as their relationship with Saudi Arabia, earning a fortune comes easy to WWE. But there's always more ways to make every penny count. At the Royal Rumble, WWE held the first Pitch Black match, sponsored by Mountain Dew, while Applebee's was the official sponsor of the Royal Rumble match. During WWE's fourth quarter earnings call, Nick Khan was asked about WWE sponsoring more aspects of the on-screen product, such as the ramp and ring apron, that haven't historically been used to rake in the cash. Yes, to answer your question about monetizing the ring assets, it's something we're taking a deep dive into now, and that we want to do. In terms of what's driven it, I think it all started with Stephanie McMahon and changing the culture of our sales group. From changing from a maybe to a yes, so when Mountain Dew and Pepsi pitched us the idea of sponsoring a match, I think it was done, was yes, we'll absolutely do it, and then a conversation with Triple H, our head of creative, about, hey, we can probably do this, right? Which Triple H and our creative team made every accommodation to get it done. I think that's what's driving it, in addition to going into higher levels for each of these potential companies. While the idea of WWE having sponsors for different parts may be a bit over-commercialized, WWE's end goal is to make money. And if this trend continues, we'll have to see who walks down the KFC new deluxe golden bucket with spicy sriracha mayo ramp at WrestleMania 39. At the Royal Rumble, Bray Wyatt and LA Knight competed in the very first Pitch Black match, which bizarrely was sponsored by Mountain Dew. WWE has occasionally used sponsors for matches in the past, as seen with the Army of the Dead Lumberjack match at WrestleMania Backlash 2021, and we'll soon see another of these matches. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, WWE Senior Vice President and Head of Global Sales and Partnerships Craig Stimmel confirmed that a marquee sponsorship match will be happening at WrestleMania, and name-dropped WWE's Mania sponsor, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I don't want to give away too much, but it'll be around a match and the sponsorship of that match and what they'll be able to bring to that match, so we're going to do things that fit inside of our storyline as well. Stimmel added that WWE's sponsorship revenue is up 43% from their previous fiscal year, with a source close to the situation adding that this revenue stands at somewhere between $14 to $15 million. It was also said that this year's post-WrestleMania press conference will be sponsored as well, presumably by Cinnamon Toast Crunch. While some fans may not be thrilled with WWE having sponsored matches, these types of bouts are proving very lucrative for WWE, and fans can expect a very serial match at WrestleMania 39. Now, WrestleMania 39 is just 56 days away, and the card for WWE's biggest two nights of the year is slowly coming together. Not too long ago, it was reported that WWE was planning on Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, though that doesn't appear to be the case now, with the Beast Incarnate now in a bitter feud with Bobby Lashley. Brock may be out of the picture for Gunther, but the Intercontinental Champion will still have a huge showing this April, in what will be his first WrestleMania of the main roster. WrestleVotes reports that WWE is planning on having Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus for the title this April, with some in the company wanting the match towards the top of the card. It was Sheamus' pursuit of the IC title and the Grand Slam that led to the 5-Star Classic with Gunther at Clash of the Castle, and McIntyre has also said he hopes to lock horns with the Austrian. This match isn't 100% decided yet, but would certainly be an epic way to use three popular stars at WrestleMania. And who would you want to see leave LA as the Intercontinental Champion? Sound off in the comments. And we're ending on some unfortunate news, as former WWF manager Larry the Genius Poffo has died at age 68. The sad news was broken on social media by Hacksaw Jim Duggan, though no cause of death has been given at this time. Originally a wrestler, Poffo would come best known for his role as the Genius, and his intellectual superior character would set the precedent for similar stars like Christopher Nowinski and Damien Sandow. In a statement, WWE praised Lanny, who debuted as Leaping Lanny Poffo, as one of the first high flyers in WWE, adding that he reached new heights as the Genius and manager of Mr. Perfect. The brother of Randy Savage, Poffo had an impressive career even if it didn't match the Macho Man. And we'd like to offer our condolences to those who knew Lanny at this sad time.